Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are wrestling with, well, one of the most critical financial questions facing millions: retirement.
Hmm.
It's often misleadingly viewed as, stopping the engine entirely.
Right, hitting the brakes.
Exactly. But in reality, it has to be seen as a significant, calculated shift in gears moving from the fast lane of active earning to, let's say, a scenic, relaxed drive through the golden years.
And that scenic road, it's getting longer every year, isn't it? Thanks to
Yeah.
increased longevity.
It really is.
So the fuel for that journey, your accumulated retirement corpus, it needs managing not just carefully, but dynamically.
Okay.
So today we're drilling down into that central, urgent question for many retirees in India. Can I retire comfortably with a corpus of 1 crore?
Ah, the 1 crore figure. It's become such a benchmark, hasn't it? Often a source of, frankly, tremendous anxiety for people. So, our deep dive today has a pretty clear mission. We're going to analyze precisely why the traditional conservative strategies, the fixed deposits, the schemes offering guaranteed income, why they're actually, well, often set up to fail, sometimes spectacularly.
Due to that silent killer, inflation.
Exactly. Then we'll unlock the sustainable alternative.
Yeah, we're going to unpack a hybrid, inflation-proof strategy, one that couples the, let's say, ironclad security of government safety nets with intelligent, growth-oriented withdrawal mechanisms.
A dual approach.
It's essential for long-term survival. Really is.
We've drawn from some really comprehensive source material for this one. We're looking at deep analytical guides on corpus investing, detailed research studies mapping the behavior and investment patterns of senior citizens in India,
Specifically leveraging data from a study in the Mumbai suburbs, which is quite revealing.
and essential educational material from financial regulators like SEBI.
And here's the core paradox, the thing that all this material just shouts at us.
Yeah,
Retirees overwhelmingly prioritize safety.
understandably so.
Of course. They seek guaranteed fixed income options because the thought of losing capital is, well, terrifying, yet blindly choosing only those instruments often leads directly to long-term financial insecurity.
How so? Why?
Because safety against immediate loss doesn't equate to safety against inflation over 20, 30 years.
It's that classic trade-off, isn't it? You preserve the capital number today, but you guarantee its purchasing power erodes over time.
Exactly. You're sacrificing future dignity, in a way, for present comfort.
Okay, let's unpack this properly then and provide a roadmap to actually navigating that longevity risk.
Right. Let's begin with the kind of philosophical shift required. We're drawing from regulatory guidance here, SEBI material.
Okay.
It clearly defines retirement not just as a state of mind, but fundamentally as a long-term financial issue.
Makes sense.
The main objective isn't just relaxation. It's maintaining your established lifestyle and, crucially, financial independence throughout your remaining life.
And defining that financial replacement goal, it needs to be quantitative, not just a vague idea. The common rule of thumb cited in our sources is what you need to replace 70% to 90% of your pre-retirement income.
That's the ballpark, yeah. So if we translate that, let's take someone earning, say, 50,000 euro before retirement.
Okay.
They need to reliably generate a post-retirement income stream of between 35,000 to 45,000 euro every single month.
Just to maintain their current standard of living, assuming major debts are gone.
Precisely. It's a crucial starting point. You have to nail that number down.
So arriving at an ideal retirement plan isn't just one decision. It's a systematic 4-step process laid out for this transition. What's the foundation?
Step 1, define your income requirement. Precisely.
Sounds obvious.
It does, but retirees often underestimate this figure. You have to factor in things that usually skyrocket after retirement.
Like medical costs.
Primarily increased medical costs, yes, and sometimes unexpected family financial needs or gifting. You really must plan for the worst-case scenario regarding longevity and health.
Okay, step 2.
Step 2 is calculating your available resources,
Right.
that lump sum you're actually going to receive.
Your terminal benefits. PF, gratuity.
Exactly. Your Provident Fund gratuity payouts, that tells you the size of the battlefield, so to speak.
Right. And step 3,
Step 3 requires a bit of courage, frankly. Selecting the right plan, meaning strategically choosing asset classes that have the actual potential to provide higher inflation-beating returns over the long run, even if they carry some perceived risk.
Okay, embracing some growth.
You have to. And step 4, the most powerful step, emphasized across all investment material: start early. Harness the phenomenal compounding power of time.
We'll come back to compounding later. It's so critical. Setting goals within this framework needs rigor. We know about SMART goal specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. Our audience gets that. But
Right.
what's the implementation challenge here? The material stresses that generalized goals like I will save money are basically useless.
Absolutely useless. The difficulty for seniors isn't always understanding specificity. It's coping with the uncertainty of the future.
How do you mean?
Well, how do you set an achievable or realistic goal when you don't know if you'll live to 85 or 95? Or what a major surgery might cost in 10 years?
That's a fair point.
So the focus needs to shift a bit from pure saving targets to managing the duration of the cash flow.
Oh,
So instead of I will save money, the goal for a retiree becomes something more like I will establish a withdrawal mechanism that allows for, say, a minimum 5% annual increase in my cash flow for the next 25 years.
that completely shifts the focus from accumulation to distribution, which is exactly the retirement challenge.
Precisely. And planning has to accommodate different time horizons, even in retirement.
Right, not just one long stretch.
No, short-term goals, maybe 1-3 years, could be funding a trip or replacing a car. Medium-term, 3-5 years, maybe significant home renovation.
Ein lump.
Long-term, 5 years plus, is preserving that core corpus, making it last until age 90 or 95, potentially. Now we get to the crux of the problem. The sources are really definitive on this. The typical retirement mindset is, frankly, a bit of a time bomb.
A time bomb. That sounds dramatic.
Well, maybe. But the study on senior citizens in those Mumbai suburbs gave us a sobering snapshot of this deeply entrenched conservative preference.
It's more than just preference, isn't it? It seems like ingrained behavior.
It really is.
Yeah.
In a financial capital like Mumbai, where you'd think market access and awareness would be highest, the preference for fixed income is just overwhelming. The top 3 investment options cited by these retirees: bank fixed deposits, post office schemes, and gold.
Classic safe assets.
Textbook safe.
Oh.
And if you flip that, what were the least important investment options cited? Land and the share market.
Wow.
The concentration risk is staggering. 54% of respondents said they invested all their money entirely into post office schemes and banks.
Half of them. All eggs in one low-yield basket.
It speaks volumes about the psychological need for that guarantee principle.
And their reasons seem practical on the surface, not driven by greed.
Absolutely. They're driven by the need to meet monthly expenses immediately, seeking tax benefits, meeting future responsibilities
So they prioritize the visible preservation of capital today.
over the unseen erosion of purchasing power tomorrow. Yes.
And that decision path, it works fine for a while, doesn't it?
Works perfectly fine for the first decade, maybe. You get predictable monthly interest, you feel secure, but it creates this profound, invisible crisis of long-term sustainability. And this is where we bring in that core question. Can I retire with lone crore in India using only this conservative method?
And the answer, based on the numbers,
Is a clear, resounding no.
okay, let's walk through the illustrative data the sources laid out. It's pretty stark.
It is. So we start at age 61 with a corpus of 1 crore, 1 year 1,000.
Right.
We assume a purely fixed income return rate of 7.5%, which is maybe generous today, but let's go with it.
Okay, 7.5%. And inflation.
We assume an annual inflation rate of 6%, also fairly standard.
Got it. So year one.
Year 1, age 61. You take a sensible starting withdrawal, 5,000 for the year.
5 lakhs. Seems reasonable on a core.
Yep. Your corpus earns a nominal 7,050,000 in interest, 7.5% of 1 crore. So the closing balance actually rises slightly to 2,060,000.
So far, so good. You feel secure. You're earning more than you spend.
Exactly. But here's the subtle mechanism of failure starting immediately.
Inflation.
Inflation, we must account for it, which means that annual withdrawal of 5 lakhs has to increase by 6% every single year just to afford the same basket of goods and services.
Right, your expenses aren't static. Okay, let's jump ahead. What happens by age 70?
Okay, age 70, nearly a decade in. By this point, the compounding effect of that 6% inflation has forced your annual withdrawal requirement to jump dramatically.
How much?
It reaches 8,044,739 per year,
Wow, from 5 lakhs to over 8.4 lakhs.
just to maintain the same lifestyle. Now, your closing balance on paper is still holding steady, maybe even slightly up. It's sitting at a nominal euro 115,051,163.
So still above the initial crore. Seems okay.
Nominally, yes. But the real rate of return is the killer here. Your portfolio is earning 7.5%.
Right.
But 6% of that is immediately wiped out by inflation just to keep your purchasing power level.
So your real compounding growth rate is barely 1.5%.
Barely 1.5%. It's a slow bleed initially. But watch how quickly that decline accelerates once the inflation-adjusted withdrawal starts outpacing even the nominal portfolio growth.
Okay, when does that happen?
By age 75, 5 years later, your annual withdrawal, climbing by 6% a year, now hits 11,030,452.
Over 11 lakhs a year.
You are now taking out substantially more than the portfolio is adding in new growth, even nominally.
Ah, the tipping point.
This is the critical inflection point. For the first time, your closing balance starts dipping below the initial euro-crow mark. It lands at 17,080,196.
Still over a crore.
Technically, yes, but that money now has the purchasing power of far, far less than the initial core you retired with back at age 61.
The erosion is real now. Visible.
The erosion has begun, and crucially, the pace of decline is now accelerating. It's a psychological shock when you realize the capital you thought was safe is now actively shrinking in real terms.
And the most terrifying part must be the acceleration in the later years, when you're most fragile, maybe 80s, 90s.
Exactly, when you're most dependent on that corpus.
Yeah.
And the math is relentless. By age 85,
What happens?
the inevitable happens. The corpus runs out completely. The data shows the closing balance turns negative. You're left with a shortfall of 5.43 lakhs.
So not only is the crore gone, you're actually in debt.
You're in debt. It's a failure guaranteed by the mathematics of inflation erosion over a 25-year period.
That case study just delivers the hard conclusion, doesn't it? Relying solely on conservative, fixed income choices, even with a large sum like a crore.
It lacks the essential long-term sustainability. It leaves retirees vulnerable in their most vulnerable years. It's just not enough.
And this vulnerability, it isn't just limited to FDs, right? The sources also cautioned against other seemingly safe income products.
That's right, especially those that lack the necessary flexibility to fight inflation or handle emergencies.
Like what? Annuities.
Annuity plans are specifically mentioned. They offer that guaranteed income stream, which sounds appealing.
Mm-hmm.
But their major drawback is an acute lack of flexibility. Once you lock in your corpus, those funds become inaccessible for emergencies, for anything during your life.
And the payout is fixed, right? No inflation adjustment.
You're only fixed, yes.
Yeah.
So its
Yeah.
real value decreases every year. And the remaining principal, if any, only goes to your nominee after you pass away.
So if you need a large sum for unexpected health costs mid-retirement.
You're locked out of your own capital. Not ideal.
What about corporate deposits? They sometimes offer slightly higher rates.
They do. Maybe 1% or 2% more than bank FDs sometimes. But they introduce higher credit risk. Is the company sound? Will it default?
And for retirees whose absolute #1 priority is capital preservation.
Those risks, even if small, make them less than ideal. The small extra return often doesn't justify the added worry or potential loss.
Good point. And just for clarity, the sources mentioned the PMVVY scheme.
Yeah, the Pradhan Mantri via Vandana Yojana. It was popular for government-backed income.
Was?
Yes, it's currently unavailable for fresh investment. The window closed.
Okay, so the landscape is always shifting, which underscores the need for a flexible, diversified approach, not relying on any single fixed product that might disappear or become unsuitable.
Exactly. You need a plan that can adapt.
Yeah.
So if the purely conservative approach is, as we've seen, mathematically almost guaranteed to fail the longevity test.
Which is a scary thought.
It is. So what's the sustainable alternative? Our sources strongly advocate for a philosophical shift, moving away from capital fixity.
Meaning keeping it locked down.
Right. Towards capital dynamism. Making your money work smarter, not just harder.
And this is where the hybrid strategy comes in.
Exactly. It prioritizes sustainable safety. How? By utilizing equity growth, that necessary engine to beat inflation, while also maintaining immediate reliable cash flow from government safety schemes.
Okay, balancing act.
A balancing act. This dual strategy, specifically combining the SCSS with an SWP, is the mechanism for making a long retirement corpus actually last.
SCSS plus SWP. Let's break that down. First, the SCSS part.
Right, the foundation first. The Senior Citizen Savings Scheme, or SCSS, this is the crucial component that provides the psychological and financial bedrock.
Why? Because it's government-backed.
Yes, government-backed, highly reliable, that gives peace of mind.
And the current offering is pretty good, isn't it?
It's substantial right now, 8.2% per annum.
8.2%. That's attractive.
It is. And its structure is perfect for the retiree lifestyle. You get quarterly interest payouts.
Like a mini pension.
Exactly. Provides that consistent, predictable cash flow. The principal is secure. Though we must note, the interest income is fully taxable.
Okay. Important point for planning.
Very important. Requires careful tax planning. The structure is also user-friendly. A 5-year lock-in. which is extendable by another 3 years.
So provides reliability for up to 8 years at a stretch.
The SCSS handles a portion of the income needs, providing certainty for baseline expenses. Covers the essentials, perhaps.
Okay, that's the safety net. But as we established, certainty alone, 8.2% fixed, still gets eroded by 6% inflation over 25 years.
Correct. The SCSS alone cannot win the long-term inflation fight. That's where the growth engine comes in.
The SWP systematic withdrawal plan.
Exactly. Funded by mutual funds, this steps in to cover the gap.
How does that work in practice?
The SWP component, typically drawn initially from high-quality debt funds, covers the remaining gap in your monthly expenses, whatever the SCSS doesn't cover. And crucially, the withdrawal amount from the SWP increases annually, maybe by that 6% we discussed, specifically to account for inflation.
So the total income from SCSS plus SWP keeps pace with rising costs.
That's the goal. But the real genius of this hybrid model, the reason it succeeds where fixed income fails, is the dynamic risk management component.
Dynamic management, meaning rebalancing.
Regular, systematic rebalancing. This is where the retiree embraces controlled risk, not reckless risk.
Okay, tell me more.
We're using equity exposure not necessarily for immediate spending, but for preserving future purchasing power. The goal of rebalancing is twofold: sustainability and volatility reduction.
How does it do that?
Any significant equity gains that accrue, say in a balanced advantage fund or a separate equity fund allocation, are systematically transferred out of that growth allocation and into the safer debt funds.
You harvest the gains.
You harvest the gains, exactly. You lock them in. This ensures the debt pool, the immediate cash buffer used for the SWP withdrawals, is constantly replenished and strengthened.
Like refilling the safe coffers.
Perfect analogy. This disciplined selling of winners prevents the portfolio from becoming overly reliant on the unpredictable equity market day to day. It maintains a secure cash runway for the next few years of inflation-adjusted withdrawals.
And this de-risking strategy, it's formalized, not just guesswork.
Yes, absolutely. The sources specify a clear schedule, a glide path. As retirement progresses, particularly once the retiree hits, say, age 75,
Okay.
the strategy mandates that the remaining equity exposure should be completely transitioned into debt funds.
So reducing risk significantly in later life.
Exactly. It ensures maximum stability and preservation of capital during the late stages of life. You're essentially locking in the gains made during the first 10-15 years of retirement, ensuring the maximum possible corpus supports those continuous withdrawals when you need it most.
Okay, this sounds much more robust. How dramatically different is the outcome when this hybrid model is applied to our original Europro case study?
Oh, the contrast is night and day. It's quite remarkable. Remember, when we applied the conservative model, the corpus failed completely by age 85, left a shortfall.
Right, a disaster.
When the hybrid model is applied, with that growth component and rebalancing, the outcome is reversed. It succeeds precisely because of the compounding real return generated by the growth component, even after withdrawals.
So what does the corpus look like at age 85 in the hybrid scenario?
Let's break it down. By age 85, when the conservative portfolio was bust, the hybrid retiree still has a substantial position. They have 61 lakhs securely held in their debt funds, the harvested gains and remaining principal.
61 lakhs in debt funds and the SCSS.
And the original Euro 30 lakhs, assuming the maximum investment allowed, held as the SCSS principal, which is returned at maturity.
So add those together.
That results in a total remaining corpus of 91 lakhs.
91 lakhs compared to a deficit.
Exactly. This figure proves that the initial Euro crore investment can last through a multi-decade retirement, even with inflation-adjusted withdrawals.
Provided you manage it dynamically.
Provided growth is systematically managed and reinvested into safer assets. It not only provided the necessary income throughout, but also secured a significant financial legacy for the next generation. It works.
Okay, let's focus entirely now on that growth and distribution engine. The systematic withdrawal plan, or SWP. You called it the mechanism for making the corpus last.
Functionally, yes. It's probably the retiree's best tool for replacing their monthly paycheck in a flexible way.
How does it act like an artificial salary?
Well, the mechanical process is straightforward, but its implications are massive. An SWP allows you, the investor, to nominate a specific amount of money to be withdrawn from your mutual fund holdings at fixed intervals.
Monthly.
Quarterly, usually monthly or quarterly, yes. Whatever suits your cash flow needs. The fund manager then redeems the necessary number of units from your holdings and deposits the cash directly into your linked bank account.
So it solves that immediate post-retirement problem, generating consistent, predictable cash flow.
It does. If an individual invests, say, 20 lakhs
Uh-huh.
and sets up an SWP to withdraw 15,000 per month, the fund units are redeemed automatically to meet that cash need. But, and this is key, the remaining capital, the bulk of the investment, continues to grow based on the market performance of the underlying fund.
That's the crucial difference from an annuity, right? Where the principal often stops working for you directly.
Precisely. With an SWP, your remaining capital is still invested, still has growth potential.
And you mentioned this is powerful for senior citizens. Why specifically? What are the advantages over just keeping money in FDs and drawing it down?
Well, it offers three distinct advantages. Dependable income, which we've covered, but also immense flexibility and critical market risk mitigation.
Okay, let's talk flexibility first. How is it more flexible than an FD?
With FDs, you're locked into the interest rate and the term, right? Break it early, you pay a penalty.
True.
With an SWP, the investor chooses the precise amount they want to withdraw and the frequency. But more than that, if they face an unexpected financial windfall, maybe an inheritance.
Or need to cover a large one-time expense like a medical bill.
Exactly. They can temporarily modify the withdrawal amount, increase it, decrease it, or even pause the SWP altogether for a few months.
Without breaking the original investment structure.
Without breaking the investment. That adaptability, that control, is priceless in retirement when unexpected things will happen.
Okay, flexibility is huge. What about risk mitigation? How does withdrawing systematically help with market risk? This seems counterintuitive.
Yeah, it does. But think about it. This is vital for the risk-averse senior. Sudden market downturns can be devastating if you're forced to liquidate a large portion of your capital at a low point to meet expenses.
Selling low, locking in losses, the worst.
The absolute worst. An SWP helps retirees almost dollar-cost average their withdrawals.
The reverse of dollar cost averaging for investing.
Kind of, yeah. They take small amounts out periodically. This prevents the need to sell off a large chunk during a market dip. It allows the majority of the capital time to recover and potentially rebound when markets improve. You're not forced into a panic sale.
That makes sense. But all of this hinges on setting a realistic withdrawal rate initially, doesn't it? If you pull too much out, even this hybrid approach will fail.
Oh, absolutely critical. The universal wisdom, backed by lots of studies, dictates maintaining a sustainable withdrawal rate.
And what's considered sustainable?
Experts generally suggest keeping it between 4% and 6% per annum of the initial corpus value.
4 to 6%.
If you stick within that band, you significantly increase the probability that your capital will last 30 years or more, even with market fluctuations and inflation.
And if you go above that, say 7% or 8%.
You start inviting the exact failure we saw in the conservative case study. You're drawing down capital too quickly for growth to keep up. Discipline on the withdrawal rate is paramount.
Okay, 4–6% is the magic range. Finally, you mentioned a compelling, often overlooked benefit, tax efficiency. How is SWP better taxed than FD interest?
This is a huge differentiator. It can save retirees a lot of money.
How so?
Okay, traditional fixed deposits generate interest income, right? That interest is simply added to your total income for the year.
And taxed at your slab rate.
Exactly. Taxed at your marginal tax rate. For a retiree who might already be receiving a pension or have other income sources, that FD interest can easily push them into a higher tax bracket, sometimes facing a 20% or even 30% tax burden on that interest.
Ouch. Okay, how are SWP withdrawals treated?
SWP withdrawals are treated differently. It's essentially selling units of your mutual fund. So it's treated as capital gains.
Capital gains, not income.
Right. And capital gains generally receive more beneficial tax treatment, depending on the fund type, equity or debt, and how long you've held the investment.
Let's take debt funds, as they're often used for SWPs in retirement.
Okay, perfect example. For debt funds, if you hold the units for over 3 years, any gains are considered long-term capital gains.
And how are they taxed?
Long-term capital gains from debt funds are taxed at 20%. But, and this is the crucial part, only after applying indexation benefits.
Indexation. That's the key to fighting inflation and taxation, right?
Absolutely. Indexation is a mechanism that adjusts your original purchase price upwards to account for inflation over the holding period.
Can you give a simple example? Make indexation tangible.
Sure. Imagine you invested, say, €100 in a debt fund unit back in 2018. Now you withdraw it today via SWP. The government understands that inflation's happened between 2018 and today, lowering the real value of that initial euro.
Right.
So they publish a cost inflation index, or CII. Let's say, just for simplicity, the indexation adjusts your initial purchase price from €100 up to 150 today.
Okay, so your cost for tax purposes is now 150, not 100.
Exactly. Now, if you sell that unit today for, say, 180,
Mm-hmm.
you only pay tax on the difference between the inflation-adjusted cost, 150, and the selling price, 180.
So you only pay tax on a 30 gain.
Precisely. Without indexation, you would have paid tax on the full 80 gain, 180 sell price, 100 buy price.
That's a huge difference in the taxable amount.
It's massive. Indexation significantly lowers your effective tax burden, making SWP from debt funds potentially vastly superior, tax-wise, compared to paying tax on 100% of the interest from a fixed deposit at your highest slab rate.
That tax efficiency alone makes a compelling case for considering SWPs within the hybrid model.
It really does. It means more of your returns stay in your pocket, not the taxman's.
Okay, so the hybrid model with SWP seems mathematically and tax-wise superior. But to really engineer solutions that work, we have to understand the behavior behind the choices.
Absolutely.
We need to look at the data that explains why retirees often cling so tightly to those FDs, despite the clear math of inflation working against them.
And that research study on senior citizens aged 60 to 80 in the Mumbai suburbs gives us some key insights into this demographics mindset.
What did it tell us about them?
Well, the majority of respondents, 62%, were in that initial retirement bracket, 60, 70 years old. And interestingly, almost half, 47%, had retired from stable government jobs.
Okay, so that background probably implies a reliance on pensions, expected terminal benefit.
Exactly, which naturally encourages a preference for known, fixed outcomes, certainty.
But encouragingly, the study found that a huge majority, 87%, reported they were not financially dependent on their children.
Yes, that underscores a strong desire for self-reliance and independence, which, ironically, is sometimes undermined by making overly conservative choices that don't last.
What about their income sources?
Confirm the profile. Primary source, pension for 36%, followed by dividends or interest received for 25%.
So their financial background really frames their decisions. They're optimizing for income replacement and stability.
Not necessarily wealth maximization or long-term growth. That's secondary.
Okay, now for the critical barriers they face, the psychological, the practical obstacles before they even make investment decisions. What did the study find?
The top 3 problems cited were quite revealing. Number 1, a profound lack of knowledge about investment options beyond the basics.
Lack of knowledge. Okay.
Number 2, insufficient liquid cash, readily available, perhaps tied up elsewhere. And number 3, an overpowering fear of risk, fear of losing their hard-earned capital.
Knowledge gap and fear. That makes sense.
And that fear of risk isn't abstract. It's amplified by real-world pressures they face.
Right.
Increasing costs of medications, high, unpredictable medical expenses. That's a huge variable that can wipe out capital very quickly.
A major source of anxiety.
Huge. Furthermore, the study highlighted the challenges posed by the rapid advance of technology. Digital literacy.
How's that play in?
This source has explicitly called digitally illiterate seniors soft targets for financial scams and cyber fraud.
Oh, wow. That's worrying.
It is. They might have carefully accumulated a substantial retirement corpus over decades, but a single bad click, a sophisticated phishing attack they don't recognize.
Can instantly destroy the safety net we've spent this whole time trying to build.
Exactly. And that lack of digital comfort, that fear of being scammed online, often pushes them back towards physical, paper-based, low-yield banking solutions they feel they understand and control.
Back to the familiar, even if it's suboptimal.
And what's really fascinating here statistically was the finding that the investment pattern showed a significant association with both gender and education qualification.
Gender and education level correlated with investment choices. What are the implications of that?
It confirms that the lack of knowledge isn't uniform across all seniors. It tends to be more concentrated in specific demographics.
So if, say, less educated retirees, or perhaps retirees who've traditionally had less direct control over household finances, often women in past generations perhaps.
If they are statistically more averse to market exposure, then generic one-size-fits-all financial education probably fails them.
It doesn't address their specific concerns or build trust.
Exactly. The fear of risk is naturally higher when the perceived gap in understanding is wider. This highlights the critical need for tailored, personalized education. You can't talk about mutual fund SWPs the same way to a retired financial professional and to, say, a retired homemaker who has only ever dealt with a post office account.
The communication has to bridge that gap, address the fear of the unknown directly.
Head on. Ultimately, though, The psychological drive behind their decisions remains clear from the study. Their top priorities are secured solvency,
Meaning?
meeting monthly expenses reliably, maximizing any available tax benefits, and fulfilling future responsibilities, maybe helping family. They need solutions that feel physically safe and predictable.
Even if those solutions are mathematically dangerous in the long run due to inflation.
Precisely. The feeling overrides the math sometimes. So, given that this lack of knowledge and the related fear and digital literacy issues are the top barriers,
Yeah.
we have to discuss the systemic solutions. What can be done on a larger scale? Our sources outline proposals from investor protection bodies like SEBI.
Okay. What's the approach?
The central challenge, as SEBI sees it, is bridging this communication and trust gap. How do you get reliable information to seniors in a way they understand and accept?
So the sources detail a framework for promoting more rational investment among seniors while addressing their fears.
Yes, a comprehensive, suggestive framework.
Oh.
It's proactive, not just reactive.
What does it include?
It includes SEBI potentially collaborating with recognized educational institutions to offer specialized courses focusing on the essentials: equity investment fundamentals, risk management, market analysis.
But tailored specifically for seniors.
Tailored specifically to the needs and learning styles of senior citizens. Not overly technical, very practical, maybe even leading to some kind of SEBI-endorsed certificate of completion, giving it credibility.
Interesting. What else?
Crucially, they suggest implementing a train-the-trainer model.
Train the trainer.
Yeah. Get certified financial advisors, perhaps even bright students, certified through these potential SEBI programs to specialize in serving the unique needs of seniors.
So experts focus just on this demographic.
Exactly. Providing accessible, maybe even one-on-one guidance right there in local communities, community centers, libraries.
That could build trust. And maybe help with the digital literacy gap, too.
Definitely. Provide hands-on assistance navigating online platforms, setting up secure accounts, recognizing scams, mitigating those cyber fraud risks directly.
What about market perception? The whole stock market is gambling idea.
The framework pushes for better market transparency and communication, using government outreach to clarify the market mechanism. Emphasizing repeatedly that using the regulated market for long-term investment is a form of calculated trading or investing. It's not the high-stakes gambling that the media sometimes portrays it as. Changing the narrative.
That's a big hurdle. Any policy recommendations mentioned?
Yes, leveraging modern regulatory changes. The sources pointed to the benefit of utilizing the T+1 settlement system.
T+1, trade date plus 1-day settlement. How does that help seniors specifically?
Well, the T+1 settlement system means that when a senior sells stocks or mutual fund units, the funds are credited to their bank account within 24 hours, the next business day, much faster than the old T+2 or T+3 systems.
Faster access to cash.
Faster cash. This enhances liquidity, which is good, but more importantly for a risk-averse group, it drastically reduces the settlement risk the time the funds are exposed in transit.
Less time to worry about something going wrong.
Exactly. It provides a sense of immediacy and control that feels closer to the experience of redeeming a fixed deposit. It reduces anxiety.
Makes sense. Okay, beyond policy and formal education, we need to circle back to that mindset shift, the one that needs to happen long before retirement. You mentioned compounding earlier.
Yes. Compounding. It is the investor's single greatest advantage. And time, well, time is the most crucial variable. Not just the amount invested, but the time it's invested for.
And the difference between starting early and starting late is dramatic, even if the late starter invests more.
Hugely dramatic. The sources use that perfect counterintuitive illustration with two fictional investors, Raman and Prasad.
Right. Raman and Prasad. Remind us.
Okay, Raman is the early bird. He saves €2,000 per year, starting really early, from age 19 up to age 27, just for those 8 years.
So he invests a total of only $16,000, 8 years x 2,000, and then he stops contributing forever.
Stops completely at age 27. Never adds another rupee. Now, Prasad starts later, at age 27, but he's diligent. He continues saving that same €1,000 per year every year until the standard retirement age of 65.
Okay, so Prasad invests for much longer, 38 years.
Exactly, investing a massive total of $74,000, 38 years, x €2,000.
So Prasad invested nearly 5 times the amount of capital Raman at, $74K versus $16K?
Nearly 5 times the capital contribution. But here's the kicker.
Wait, don't tell me Raman ends up with more. How is that possible?
It's the sheer unbelievable power of those first 8 years for Raman. That €16,000 he put in between age 19 and 27 had nearly 46 years to compound, tax-free assuming growth investments.
Decades and decades of growth on the initial sum.
Whereas Prasad's capital, even though it was much larger in total, the contributions he made later in life had far less time to benefit from that exponential snowballing growth. Raman's small early snowball just kept rolling and rolling.
Okay, so what's the final number? By age 65.
The outcome shows Raman, the early starter who only invested 16K, ends up with significantly more wealth. His corpus grows to 1,035,160.
Over 10 lakhs from just 16,000 invested early.
Compared to Prasad, who diligently invested 74K over decades, ending up with 8,896.
Still a good sum, but substantially less than Raman.
Just substantially less. It perfectly illustrates that while retirement funding focuses on preservation and distribution, the fundamental mindset required to beat long-term inflation leveraging growth must start early. It sets the stage for having a large enough corpus for that hybrid model to work effectively later on.
Wow. Start early. The oldest advice is still the best. Okay, finally, ensuring the longevity of that hard-earned corpus means thinking about what happens after the retiree's life, too. Legacy planning.
Yes, comprehensive legacy planning, or estate planning. It's really the final act of financial responsibility.
Why is it crucial?
It's crucial for maximizing the value passed on and, importantly, ensuring assets are bequeathed efficiently and according to the retiree's wishes, minimizing disputes and delays for the family.
And the cornerstone of that is a will.
Creating a legal will is the foundational document, yes. It's a clear legal declaration of your intent for how your property should be distributed after your death. And equally important is appointing a trustworthy executor in that will to carry out those instructions.
What about planning for incapacity before death?
Ah, very important distinction. That's where a power of attorney comes in. This is a vital, separate legal document.
Separate from the will.
Completely separate. It allows a trusted person, your attorney in fact, to manage your financial or healthcare affairs while you are alive, but only if you become incapacitated or unable to manage things yourself.
So the will is for after death. Power of attorney is for managing life if you can't.
Exactly. A will only takes effect after death. Power of attorney provides crucial life management if needed.
Okay. And one more simple administrative step the sources mentioned, nomination.
Yes. So important yet often overlooked. Retirees must ensure they have clearly nominated beneficiaries for all their registered assets.
Light.
LIC policies, bank deposits, company shares, mutual funds, PPF accounts, anywhere you can formally name a nominee.
Why is nomination so critical if you have a will?
Because nomination often allows for a much quicker, smoother dispersal of proceeds directly to the nominee upon death. It can sometimes bypass the potentially lengthy and more complex probate process required for a will to be executed.
So it gets money to the heirs faster when they might need it.
Exactly. It avoids assets getting tied up in legal procedures for months or even years, which can defeat the purpose of securing that legacy efficiently. Check your nominations. #tag outro.
So after all that, what does this really mean for you, the listener, as you navigate your own retirement planning or maybe advise parents or others?
Well, I think our deep dive confirms one key thing. The goal for the modern retiree cannot simply be safety in the old sense. It has to be sustainable safety.
Right, because that traditional reliance on conservative options alone, the fixed deposits, the postal schemes, it's just mathematically unsound over the long haul.
It's a hidden risk,
Yeah.
guaranteed to be eroded by inflation, as our one core case study starkly demonstrated. It fails the longevity test.
So the secret, then, to ensuring that substantial retirement corpus, whether it's 1 crore or another amount, actually lasts through 2 or 3 decades, securing against that longevity risk.
The secret is that strategic hybrid approach we unpacked.
Combining stability and growth.
Precisely. Utilizing something like the Senior Citizen Savings Scheme for that guaranteed income stability, that peace of mind.
Coupled with
Coupled with a disciplined, inflation-adjusted systematic withdrawal plan, likely drawing from growth-oriented balance funds or initially from debt funds, and crucially, leveraging dynamic rebalancing to harvest gains and manage volatility over time.
It's active management, but structured. Now, the biggest identified barrier, confirmed by the retirees themselves in that Mumbai study, was the knowledge and trust gap.
Especially when we see that investment patterns correlate significantly with education levels and even gender. It tells us current approaches aren't reaching everyone effectively.
So this raises an important, maybe proactive question for all of us listening, doesn't it?
I think so.
If specialized, tailored financial literacy programs for senior citizens like that detailed framework SEBI is suggesting, if they become standardized, easily accessible, maybe even community-based, how quickly could we shift the potentially billions currently locked in low-yield savings, vulnerable to inflation. Shift that capital into financial vehicles that actually secure long-term dignity and independence for retirees.
It's a powerful thought. Could we see a significant change in retirement security?
Maybe. So perhaps your investigative assignment, based on today's deep dive, should be this. Look into what localized, maybe SEBI-certified training options or specialized financial counseling services are actually available right now, specifically for the senior citizens in your own community or family.
Yeah, find out what's really out there.
That knowledge gap needs closing. And securing a long, comfortable retirement, it really starts with accessible, trusted education.
Essential food for thought and hopefully some immediate action for listeners.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.